Hello and welcome to Neoserra. My name is Colette Williams and today I'm going to give you an introductory tour to the new Neoserra Client Activity Tracking System. This presentation is primarily geared towards existing WebCats users, and we'll talk about what is Neoserra, how can you use Neoserra to access your database, what do you need to know before you start using Neoserra. We're going to give you a quick Neoserra demonstration and orientation, and then talk about how you can switch from WebCats to Neoserra and when you should make the switch. First things first, what is Neoserra? Neoserra offers a new, modern interface to your existing client activity tracking system. Neoserra and WebCats share the same database backend, so there is no data migration necessary for you to switch from WebCats to Neoserra. In fact, you can use both Neoserra and WebCats at the same time and have both applications open and go back and forth between the two. Think about Neoserra as just a new way of looking at the same data that was previously accessible via WebCats. WebCats will be retired at the end of 2014. We stopped adding new features to WebCats on January 1st, 2014, and will stop support for WebCats at the end of this year, which means that you've got a whole year to get accustomed to the new Neoserra interface. To log in using Neoserra, you can use the same URL as you would use for WebCats, but change out the domain name. It will have if you look at your WebCats URL, it'll have .outreachsystems.com at the end, and when you want to log in using the Neoserra interface, you'll change the outreachsystems.com to .neoserra.com. You'll use the exact same username and password that you previously were assigned for WebCats, and you'll use that to log into Neoserra because, again, you're going to the exact same database. The permissions that were given to you for WebCats are the same permissions that you'll have in Neoserra. Before you log in, you should be aware that Neoserra supports all modern browsers, including Firefox, Chrome, Microsoft Internet Explorer, and Safari. However, Neoserra does not support an older version of Microsoft Internet Explorer, and that is version 8.0 or anything prior to 8.0. Version 8.0 of Internet Explorer was released 5 years ago, and we recommend that you consider upgrading either to IE 10 or 11, or possibly consider using a different browser. While IE 9 is fully supported in Neoserra, there is one exception. You will not be able to add attachments to email messages generated from Neoserra using IE 9. Also, please be aware that we're still working on adding our documentation, adding videos such as this one, to the resources available for Neoserra users. Also, there are many new features in Neoserra that you did not have in WebCats, and we'll talk about some of those today. They include, of course, a new modern interface, which should be more intuitive, easier to use, especially for new users joining your network. There's a consolidated milestones interface. We've added a new professional development module. There's the ability to look at your data using charts in addition to summary views and the data stream view. We'll talk about the different views when we go into Neoserra. Neoserra can be integrated either with Google Calendar, Apple iCal, or Microsoft Outlook. And you can create email messages from Neoserra and log them as counseling sessions. Similarly, you can create email messages and add attachments, which is something that you could not previously do in WebCats. You can upload images for counselors, which simplifies or maybe beautifies the data stream. It makes it much more personal to your program. You can upload the logo for your center. Logos will not only be shown within the application, but whenever you generate a report, the logo will then be included on the report. And you can even customize the login page. Neoserra is available in Spanish, French, in addition to English, of course, and it is fully customizable. There's a few features that are currently available in WebCats that will not be migrated over to Neoserra, and they include the comparative reports, the impact grouping reports, and the contact surveys. Based upon over 15 years of WebCats usage, we've determined that these reports and these surveys are actually never really used. So hopefully there will not be any loss when you migrate over from WebCats to Neoserra. We've made a few terminology changes, hopefully for the better, that will improve your experience using the Neoserra product. In WebCats, we call them investments. In Neoserra, we're going to call it capital funding. These are basically any type of capital loans, investments that your clients receive. Conferences from WebCats are now called training events in Neoserra, and similarly, conference signups are now called training requests. And then client signups are called intake requests. Hopefully, most of these changes are fairly intuitive. Subsets are now called filters. The subsetting interface or the filter interface in Neoserra is very, very different, and we'll have a separate video that will target specifically on how to use the filters in Neoserra. They are much more powerful, hopefully much more intuitive to use, and they are accessed using what we call the blue ribbon at the top of the screen. If there is no blue ribbon, you can click on the magnifying glass. Counselors in your network may be called anything that you want. Some programs refer to their counselors as advisors. Some programs refer to their counselors as consultants. Whatever naming convention is appropriate for your network, you can change the name of counselors to the appropriate name. So let's take a quick demonstration of the Neoserra interface. We'll log in right here to Neoserra. This is our demo database, and you're familiar with the dashboard view. In fact, if we look, this is the demo database. You'll see that I'm logged in at demo.neoserra.com. If I look at the same database using demo.outreachsystems.com, I've got access to the same dashboard page. But in Neoserra, I have a number of additional links available to me. At the very top of the screen in yellow, we see some data maintenance warnings that are alerted to the administrators of the system. Administrators will be alerted anytime there are data inconsistencies noticed in the database. This is a nice way to be aware of any potential errors that may be in the database. Also, we'll always include your calendar. This is a calendar view that's personal to you. It does not include the calendar reminders for your colleagues. It primarily includes, or only includes, the calendar reminders for yourself. Of course, we have our dashboard at the bottom and our documents that are available across the network. And from here, we can click to our home page. By clicking either on this link or the logo, it takes us to the same place. In fact, I'll use the logo to go to what we call the home page. The home page is again where your calendar will be echoed. There's a data stream of information, so as we scroll down, we see all the activity that has taken place today, and you'll see that the image of the counselor personalizes the interface and lets you know exactly who conducted which counseling session. This is what we call the data stream. When I hover over a company name, the information for that company is instantly available. I can also hover over a counselor name, and now the counselor information is available to me. The hover over feature is wonderful because it possibly can save you some clicks. When you're not sure what client you're working with, you can hover over that client and kind of go, oh yes, this is the one I wanted to refer to. The data stream is on the main page. On the right-hand panel, we've got some summary details. Right here, we see that I'm logged into the Malibu Business Center. There are 551 active clients within the Malibu Business Center, of which 15 are my active clients, meaning that I have been assigned to these clients. I have 11 open clients, and these are the clients that have not been contacted for a certain period of time. This period of time can be configured by you using the preferences. In fact, let's go take a look at the preferences. I'm logged in as the SBDC guest account, but by clicking on my name, I can access the preferences page. And here it shows me what email address is associated with this login account, the last time I've made a password change, and the counselor record that's attached to my login account. I can specify my country, my time zone, so anybody not located on the West Coast who would like to see their data entry entered in the appropriate time zone can change the time zone as appropriate for their locale. You can choose a different date format if you've got a preferred date format. You can choose a different time format, and of course you can choose a different language if you'd like to see the product in a different language. Of course, anything you enter in will be entered in the language that you enter it. It's just the application that will be translated. You can choose to include local information for each of your clients, the local information meaning the time zone, as well as the weather. As I referenced before, my open clients are those clients that have not been contacted for X number of days, and you get to specify what X is. In my case, I'm going to be notified of any time I've got clients in my database that have not been contacted in the last 90 days and who also don't have anything on the calendar looking forwards. You've noticed that the menu system for Neoserra is located at the top. Here's where we access our clients, our contacts, our training events, our counseling sessions, our capital funding. This is where we can manage the interface, and administrators can go here to do their configuration. If you prefer, you can also go back to a more classic left-hand menu view. For those of you that are switching over to WebCats, this may be something that you want to consider when you initially start using the Neoserra interface to help you get accustomed to Neoserra. Today, I'll show you the top menu because I think overall you'll benefit from using the top menu as there's more real estate. You can share your calendar, as mentioned earlier, either with Google Calendar, Apple iCal, or Microsoft Outlook, and there's two different calendar sharing modes. You can use the subscription method, which is essentially a way for Google Calendar and Apple iCal to always be aware of any calendar appointments that you make on your calendar. It's essentially a pull system. It will pull into your Google Calendar any appointments that you've made in Neoserra. Alternatively, you can use the email method. You can use the email method, which will basically send email, or it will email appointments to your appropriate calendar. It's important that if you use the email method, that you verify that the email address listed here at the top of the screen is the same email address that you use for your calendar integration. There is a very robust emailing system within Neoserra, and we'll talk about that. And you can include a signature within your emails. And last but not least, we also offer a postbox feature, which will allow you to use your standard email application, such as Microsoft Outlook or any other email application that you've got. You can, at that point, include the postbox that is unique to your account in the BCC line for every email message that you generate. And this will then send a message to Neoserra to update the client record with the appropriate emails. This is a very powerful feature. We have a separate video that you can watch on all the email capabilities within Neoserra, so we won't go into too much detail here, but this is a wonderful feature. And then, of course, there are some default settings when you do use the email to counseling functionality from your external email app. Once your preferences have been set, you can come back to the primary interface, and I would recommend, if this is your first time accessing Neoserra, that you look at your preferences first of all to make sure that everything is configured exactly the way you want. The reason we started talking about our preferences is because I mentioned that my open clients is a link that is uniquely configured based upon your preferences settings. If I want to know who the 11 clients are that I need to follow up on, all I need to do is click on the link right there and the 11 clients will be presented here. Remember how I mentioned that we've got the hover over feature? So you can hover over any one of these clients and get a little bit of detail about them. Similarly, I can hover over the contacts as well. Again, I love the hover over feature because it allows me to save a number of clicks and get quick, easy access to information. Below my center details, I also see that I've got two pending requests, one training request and one pending client intake request. I can click on these and this will open up my pending requests. In Neoserra, the duplicates are immediately shown at the top of the screen, so there's no duplicate check that you manually need to do anymore. The duplicates will be immediately shown. And notice how I keep clicking back on the Neoserra logo to get me back to the main Neoserra interface. Below the center information is the activity summary, in this case for today. It tells me that today, within my center, 8 counseling sessions have been conducted, 5 of which were initial, 3 were follow-up. Again, each one of these are links, so if you wanted to see what 3 follow-up sessions were conducted, you can click on that and you can see exactly what the 3 follow-up counseling sessions were. Let's go back to the home page. If I don't want to look at just today's data, perhaps I want to look at a month's worth of data, then I can change my filter, and rather than choosing today, I can say, show me what's happened in the past 30 days. I can click apply. My data stream is immediately updated with the past 30 days worth of information. This is what we call the data stream, where you can see the detailed information of every counseling session that took place. In addition to updating the data stream with the past 30 days worth of data, the summary is also updated. So now that I see I've done 33 counseling sessions, or not me, the center has done 33 counseling sessions in the past 30 days. We also see a breakdown of how many of those took place at the client side, how many of those took place at the center side, how many of them took place by phone. Capital funding is listed here. This summary information is a wonderful quick snapshot view of everything that occurred within a certain time frame as specified. Additionally, we can look at the charts. The charts give us instant information about the same data. So we see right here the type of activity that took place. And the chart can be updated. Let's go back and look at today's data. If I changed it to today, then the charts again reflect today's information. You'll notice that there's a lot less information for today than there was for the last 30 days. The filter can be set. By default, it will look at your current center, but you can look at all centers. You can look at one of the different centers that are in your network, assuming, of course, that you have access to these centers. Permissions will be applied similar to the way they were in WebCats. If you only want to look at one counselor's worth of information, perhaps I only want to look at my own data. Today I am Kathy Aldrich. When I click apply, I'll see this information reduced down to just my activity. I see that I myself have done 4 counseling sessions, and you can see the rest of the details listed there. If I wanted to click on a particular client, I can click on any client, open up their records, and see all the details information right here. I can see the address information. Their address is mapped using Google Maps, of course. The county is identified. The congressional districts are identified, not only by district number, but also by the district name and the address of the congressional member that is appropriate. The details of the company, the center information, any products and services, and of course if they had originally signed up using the eCenter Direct website, their electronic signature will be captured. On the right hand side, I see all the contacts that are associated with this company. I can upload my documents, and there's also audit information. I'm logged in today using administrator access, so I want to show you the full capabilities. Some of you may not necessarily have full access, in which case you'll notice that some features may not be available to you. Let's go take a look again at today's data. Let's look at all of our clients. Here's a listing of our clients. I'm looking, this is the blue ribbon, so it's telling me right now that I'm looking at only the clients that belong to Kathy Aldrich. Maybe that's not what I want. By accessing the blue ribbon, by clicking on the blue ribbon, I immediately go in there and I can change my filter and say give me all active clients. And so here's a complete listing of my active clients. And this interface should look very similar to WebCats. However, in this case, we can customize it. We can say, well, we don't really want to see the email address, but what we would like to see is the business size for every business. So what we're doing right now is we're customizing this interface, and notice how now we've got the business size shown on the primary page. This is a wonderful feature that again was not available in WebCats, but is available here. And of course, at the top of the screen here, we can email all of our clients, we can generate reports on our clients, and administrators can inactivate clients, and they can also update clients. Administrators have the capability to do batch counseling. That was a quick overview of Neoserra. So now let's talk a little bit about when would you like to switch over to starting to use Neoserra. You can switch whenever you want. You have all of 2014 to make the switch from WebCats to Neoserra. And not everybody in your office has to switch at the same time. Different counselors can switch at different times. Different centers within your network can switch at different times. So everybody can switch as time allows. When you do decide to switch over to Neoserra, we recommend that you attend one of our more in-depth training sessions, and you're always more than welcome to log into our website to look at all the training that is available. And keep in mind that switching from WebCats to Neoserra does not have to be coordinated with our office. Both WebCats and Neoserra access the exact same data. Let's take a look and show that to you real quick. Here we have WebCats open. You'll notice that I'm in the WebCats database at demo.outreachsystems.com. Let's go back to the dashboard page in Neoserra as well. So now I'm looking at exactly the same page in both Neoserra and in WebCats. Let's go take a look at one of my clients. I'm going to go to Quickie Markets. There's Quickie Corner Markets. I'm going to go to this client in Neoserra, and I'm going to go to the exact same client in WebCats. So again, the information is going to be shown right here in the primary screen. In WebCats, we also had a tabbed system where you would see the history of activity, the client detail. A similar tab-based system is presented in WebCats, where the address information is shown, the details are shown, the center information is shown, and of course down below is where we have our history of activity. In WebCats, the history of activity had a more summary view. Remember how I mentioned that we've got a data stream view, we have an activity summary view, we have a charts view by clicking on the charts icon, but we also have a view that is very similar to what we were accustomed to in WebCats. And by clicking this little list icon, I see immediately the same data that I also had in WebCats. So this information is very similar to the information shown in WebCats. So you can look at the data stream view, or you can look at that history of activity view depending upon what you prefer. Again, you'll notice that this client also exists in WebCats, but let's go ahead and edit the client in WebCats first. So here's the client information. Let's go ahead and edit this client. We're going to change the phone number. You'll notice right here that the phone number is 555-6789. Let's change that phone number to 111-3456. We'll go ahead and save that phone number. We have updated the client record in WebCats. Now let's take a look in Neoserra. The information here still shows 555-6789, but let me refresh this client. Just by refreshing it, we instantly see that the phone number has been updated as to what's shown in WebCats. So you'll notice that again, the two applications are accessing the exact same database, and there is no data migration necessary. I have both applications open. Let's do the reverse now. Let's make a change in Neoserra, and let's change the email address from a Gmail email address to an AOL email address. In Neoserra, by the way, I don't have to find a save button. All I have to do is hit enter, as I've done right here, and that will instantly save the records. So you don't need to find a save button, you just hit enter. The synchronization, of course, takes place. Do I want to update the point of contact? Sure. Let's take a look at this WebCats records. Unfortunately, when I refresh in WebCats, it will take me back to the primary page. So let's go back and find Quickie again. And you'll notice that instead of the Gmail email address, we now have the AOL email address. So the exercise of this particular, or the purpose of this exercise, is to show you that whatever you enter in WebCats is instantly available in Neoserra. Whatever you enter in Neoserra is instantly available in WebCats. So you don't have to worry that you have to commit to Neoserra 100%. You can keep working in WebCats part at a time and then switch to Neoserra as time permits. Again, I want to thank you for your time. Hopefully we've given you an initial introduction to the Neoserra interface. We do encourage you to attend our webinars, to learn more about Neoserra, or look for additional videos available on our YouTube account. Thank you so much and have a wonderful afternoon.